Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hard Knocks debuted the 2021 season last night on HBO. I watched it, featuring America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. And it's funny, this morning, USA Today had a headline, 5 takeaways from Hard Knocks. I started reading it. I'm like, what am I reading this for? I don't need your 5 takeaways. I got a couple. Number one, I was not the biggest Dak Prescott fan. I think people that watch this show know that. I'm less of a Dak Prescott fan coming out of watching this show. What a whiner. What a whiner. Look, I understand you want to take every rep. I get it. You can't take every single rep. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
He was very upset
that he couldn't.
That he was pulled early in this training camp a couple weeks ago because they want to give the backups some work. Danny Bonaducci, the backup quarterback. Well, Ben DiNucci's his name, but I call him Danny Bonaducci, which means nothing to you, do you? He's the star of the Partridge Family. Anyways, that was one. Dak, come on, stop whining. Let these other guys have some work. And then, of course, he ends up getting hurt. 2, the biggest one was Jera. When he was talking to the team, I thought it was the head therapist. You said it was the team doctor.
Yeah, it was one of the two.
Yeah. So he's writing with an HB pencil these notes on Dak, talking with the medical staff on the phone. And we all take away different things. But my thing was this. He's eating a McDonald's Egg McMuffin, Jera Jones. And people are saying, well, what's odd about that? He's worth $7-8 billion. How did he not have a Red Seal chef at his ready? You know, here you go, Mr. Jones. You know, with his choice, an omelet station.
Yeah, exactly. He's got Benedict or something like.
Right. An omelet station. A guy cutting a roast at the end of the table. Jerry, when you're done with the trainer, we have your choice here of ham, roast beef. Do you want that in your omelet, Mr. Jones?
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Good morning, Rod Squad.
Maybe tomorrow I'll tell you guys about the big game that I went to in San Antonio with Snoop Dogg. Remember that one, Clark? The Lakers and Spurs? Snoop Dogg and I went, Bob.
How about that?
Snoop Dogg was sitting courtside. I was up in the nosebleeds, but we were in the arena at the same time. I was there with him.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
That was a great day. 100% true story. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new week of the RPShow, episode number 1413. Coming your way on Game Plus television across Canada and the USA, and streaming as well. We're going to throw a curveball at you a little bit this week. There's no Moose. I'm in the South Florida studio. We're going to Winnipeg. As Brian Munz joins us. Moose has got some exciting things going on in his life. He'll explain that to you later on when he joins us in a couple of weeks' time. Munzy joins us from Winnipeg, where I'm sure it's balmy and wonderful. What's going on, Munzy?
Temperature difference between you and I this morning, and that might be on the low side of things. It's chilly, but apparently it's supposed to get back to about 0 on Wednesday for 24 hours. And then drop back down to what you would expect to have on the prairies here. But hey, you and I, we're tough Saskatchewan guys, although you're down there right now, but we're okay. We're all good. How are you? How are you?
Yeah. Well, you survived. I'm great. I'm great, man. And for those that I should have introduced him, he's been on this show many times. Legendary NHL broadcaster, Winnipeg, Edmonton in the American League, junior hockey, pride of Humboldt, although you did live in Regina for a while, so we like to claim you with the Queen City. But Munzy's a hockey guy. And I'm great. And so we're going to have a rotating stable of guys opening the show with me as over the next couple of weeks with Moose doing his thing. Alan May is going to be with us from the Washington Capitals in hour 2. So that's the layout. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, guys, back in the studio, the Millennium Falcon? We'll just get going with the show topics here. I'm not going to ask Munzy his NFL opinions. Don't worry, Munzy. You're here to talk hockey. I didn't bring on a hockey guy to talk football, unless you have a take on Wild Card Weekend.
I probably watched more football yesterday than I did hockey on the weekend combined, to be honest with you. My wife is happy the Bills won. And really, there was, from what I saw, no real big upsets. So kind of went as what we would have thought. But yeah, you know what? I follow it as a fan. And kind of much like as I do the hockey side now, not being involved with a specific team, you can kind of sit back and enjoy it. And you can even cheer a little bit, which is an odd thing as a member of the media. So it's kind of a fun place to be right now, isn't it?
Good. It's awesome. It's so awesome. And once people, if they understood, doesn't matter if they don't know it. You and I know it. Okay, so if you watched all the football, here's some quick hitters from Sunday's NFL wildcard playoff games. Jaden Daniels ran for a critical first down to set up Zane Gonzalez's 37-yard field goal. They clanged off the right upright, but then in, and the Washington Commanders beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 23-20 in the night game. They hadn't won a playoff game, Washington, since 2006. In Orchard Park, Josh Allen threw 2 touchdown passes. James Cook scored on a 5-yard run and finished with 120 yards rushing. And Buffalo destroyed Denver 31-7. And in Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts tossed 2 touchdown passes in his first game since a late season concussion. In Philadelphia, rode their NFL best defense to a 22-10 wild card playoff berth over Green Bay. What's in my mind here is this. Your son, Jack, is just cute as a button. And it's weird because he looks like you. He's cute as a button. I want to know, what's he into? He's got your blue, what's he into? Is he into, well, he's into golf, right? But is there a sport that he said, does he watch with you or no?
Yeah, he is a gazillion % into volleyball now. He has played school volleyball over the last couple of years and just got involved this year. The University of Manitoba Bisons do an unbelievable job with a junior program they have that starts, I think it's around like kind of for the 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way up, kind of starting to develop them into maybe one day being a Bison. So he's in that U14 group right now for volleyball. So we've been going to watch lots of men's and women's Canada West or CIS or U Sport now. Volleyball action at the U of M, which is close to our house, so it's convenient there. But yeah, he loves it. Like he's a football guy. Mom's kind of got him onto that Bills side that I mentioned earlier on. So the matchup this weekend against the Ravens is obviously going to be huge, and obviously I think for everybody kind of sets up a collision course waiting for Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, Taylor Swift, the rest of the Chiefs, right? Isn't that kind of what everybody's gearing up for here in a couple of weeks?
Yeah. Well, I kind of wondered I always ask what guys' kids are into because I want to know what the next generation is. And by the way, I don't want to call golf and volleyball obscure sports because I played volleyball growing up. Anybody who looks at my frame would not be surprised by that. But I didn't know if he was watching football with his dad is my point. So here's the poll question today for our friends at EMJ Marketing. For EMJ Marketing, they provide the perfect keynote speakers for your event. Look them up at emjmarketing.com. What was the biggest upset this weekend? And we said on Friday going in, there's always one. It's like World Junior quarterfinal day. There's always an upset. And there were a couple this weekend based on point spreads. The LA Chargers losing at Houston, but at 32-12, the Texans winning in Houston. It's a little confusing. And then last night's game, 23-20, Washington winning in Tampa. Those were the upsets. So that's the poll. Which was the biggest? And running away with the poll is the option C. Wait till tonight. Vikings versus the Rams in Glendale moved because of the wildfires. If the Vikings, they're favored by, depending on who you listen to, as many as 3 points. There could be an upset tonight if the Rams win. What in your mind, Munzy, was the biggest upset? For me, it was the Commanders winning.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that, but I've got great curiosity on the game tonight. You mentioned my son. He's a Vikings fan. Stadium's 7 hours south of my house. Haven't been yet, but we get inundated with Viking material when you watch the local American channels here in and around southern Manitoba. So I would say, other than Buffalo and my house, Minnesota would be the next highly watched team. And one that we all keep track of here. So, I'm curious to see what happens tonight for sure. And I think there's no question that there will be a lot of purple in my house, keeping an eye on that one.
I'll put you down as C, wait till tonight with the Vikings.
Yeah,
winning.
let's do it.
Paul Jefferson, I'm just checking in with the audience. Paul Jefferson is watching in Humboldt, Sask. Think you know that town, Munzy. He says, good morning. Good morning, Paul, and happy birthday. He's a billet of the Humboldt Broncos. Bill Edwards checking in from the Queen City, sprinkling in the comments as many as I can as we go. Here's the thing. Munzy worked in the NHL for so long. I'm sure you found this. It doesn't matter the sport. The mentality is the same, i.e., Rams displaced for a playoff game. It doesn't matter to the Vikings. They either had to go to L.A. or they had to go to Phoenix. It doesn't matter. But for the Rams, you dealt with that chaos at home all week. I don't think people really understand. People are saying, it won't affect them. Even Jim Barker said that here on Friday. It's not going to affect the Rams. I think it might a little bit. I understand once the ball kicks off, you keep your mind between the lines. I get that. But you can't tell me that's can't have at least some distraction and bearing on the game. Agree or disagree?
No, I think it does for sure. Once you get to kickoff, I think you are able to compartmentalize. Everybody has something going on in life. But I'll tell you, the Kings were in town here in Winnipeg earlier this week, or last week now, I guess we're on Monday morning. They were here, was it Wednesday or Thursday night? And went down to the rink in the morning for the morning skate, know a few people on the Kings side of things. And that was the complete topic of conversation, was the fires. And for the majority, and I'll say the majority because I don't know everybody inside the organization, but, they're in the smoke area. They're not in the fire. The majority, from what my understanding is, and just watching CNN and everything else that goes on in the States right now, because I've been to that region numerous times, it's life-shattering, right? Because there's so much of an effect. If it's not you, it's definitely somebody you know. So a lot of the Kings are in the smoke-filled area. Even I was talking to Darren Granger, their equipment manager, who's a Manitoba guy, and he was talking about their equipment was only at the airport at LAX outside for maybe 10 minutes from when I went to the truck to the plane. But when they landed in Winnipeg, it smelled like a campfire. So it has that effect all the way through. And, obviously we're thinking of everybody in that region, and hopefully at some point here, maybe they get a little bit of rain and get some help and they're able to get everything under control. But it's massive. Like when you look at it on Google Map and just see where the smoke travels. And Roddy, you know this from living on the prairies, the fires that happen a lot of time in northern Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, into the interior of British Columbia, like that smoke and the ash and everything else, the embers that come out of the big fire blaze, they cause a lot of damage. So it's not just that small acute region that we see with the flames. It covers a long region.
It's horrific. And I did not expect to spend 10 minutes talking NFL on this with Munzy. I'm glad that we did. And that's what makes this show different, because the people that are on this show have the stories and the knowledge and the relationships, the know-how that most don't. And Moose isn't here because he's into some cool stuff over the next couple of weeks. Ask him about it. That's his business. Munzy's helping us out today opening the show. So now we move to the NHL, where Munzy called so many games with the Winnipeg Jets and the Edmonton Roadrunners in the Apple. Couple of some weekend leftovers. Coming out of Sunday, Patrick Kane scored during Detroit's fast start, and the Red Wings beat the Seattle Kraken 6-2 Sunday for their 7th consecutive NHL win. In Pittsburgh, Nikita Kucherov had 2 goals and an assist, and Tampa Bay beat Pittsburgh 5-2. In Ottawa, Levi Merrill-Linan made 24 saves in his home debut, and Ottawa snapped the Stars' 7-game win streak, beating them 3-2. You mentioned the Kings. I always think of Todd McClellan as a Kings guy. Actually, I think of him as a Melville guy. He's got Detroit having won 7 in a row. So is this him, or is this the dead cat bounce, as they say? What do you think?
Well, I'm glad you went there, because I wanted to try and steer you there eventually when you talked about the Red Wings playing last night. And I'll be selfish here for a second and just give you a bit of a backstory. I think you might know this. But in 1993-94, when I started to get into the business, I did my internship at, there's good language for you, it's Monday, CJNB Radio in North Battleford. And Todd was the head coach. Yeah, I don't want to tell them with this language here this morning that I can't spit out Fringlish. Todd was the head coach and GM of the Battleford's North Stars in the SJHL when I did my internship. And actually, the day that I got my first job in Duncan, BC, as the voice of the Cowichan Valley Capitals on the island, he was named head coach, GM of the Swift Current Broncos. So we go back all the way to that point, and we've stayed in touch, and we were texting over the Christmas break. Actually, I was texting with him the day before that he was announced head coach of the Red Wings, going back with some holiday greetings and that kind of stuff, and he didn't say a word. And now I look at it, and they've been able to get themselves within 2 points of that number 2 wild card spot that Columbus has right now. So happy for him. You mentioned you think of him as a king. I probably think of him as a king, an Oiler, and most notably probably a North Battleford North Star.
I think of him as a lot of things. A Blade. I don't even have his phone number. I'm way closer friends with his dad, Bill. Was a cop for years, a scout for Medicine Hat, and just a tremendous dude. But let me just back this up for a sec. So, hey, I want Detroit to do well. I picked them to make the playoffs this year and Tampa to miss, for the Detroit to take that spot. And they got a ways to go for that to happen, and Tampa would have to fall a little bit. But Jared Dumba analyzes hockey on this show with us, and just last week or so, I think before the firing, he says Detroit doesn't have the right character mix in the room, the right chemistry. And I haven't forgot that. Something wasn't clicking. This isn't all on Derek Lalonde, or maybe it is. Like, that's what I wonder. How long will this result in them getting into the playoffs? What do you think?
Well, they're right there, right? So Steve Yzerman says his team's not playing like he would like to see consistently enough, and decides to make the change. The old adage is you can't get rid of 23 players, so unfortunately you get rid of the coach sometimes, or you make a move inside the room. And don't forget about Trent Yanni as well, another good Saskatchewan guy. Todd brought him in, so the two of them have been able to work their magic here so far, and there's usually that bump that results in something when there's been a coaching change. But to see the number of consecutive wins and the consistency that they're playing with right now, I think it's been well documented. When Todd was on the ice one day, he yelled at his team, just play bleeping hockey. And his players have been able to do that. So they've got some good talent in there, obviously. They've got some veteran players. They've got some youthful enthusiasm there. And they've been pretty consistent defensively right now. So what I look at the fact is they've got themselves back in the race. They haven't fallen off like maybe some teams have, where once you get through this Four Nations break, I don't want to say that's the American Thanksgiving for me, but when you go on a 2-week hiatus, you've got to give yourself a chance. And the Red Wings have done that now. Ottawa's playing some decent hockey, having won their last couple of games here. And I don't think you ever count out, Pittsburgh, Montreal. So I think it's going to be a fantastic race. I don't pay as much attention, or at least I didn't, I should say, going into Christmas in the Eastern Conference. But now that Todd's there, Montreal's kind of got themselves around. I saw Ottawa and Edmonton play when I was back in the Alberta capital for the holiday season, visiting the in-laws, and it's intriguing to me. So there's no question now that I'll start to keep an eye a little bit more on what's going on in the East. Being a Western guy and having the connections, Roddy, I think that you and I both do to a number of teams here. That's kind of where the heart lies for me.
Yeah, I totally get it. We got an NHL guy here with us today in Brian Munz. That's why we're going to keep talking NHL when we come back after this break. We're live on the Game Plus television network, which is channel 1190, Bell MTS across Manitoba, Shaw, Rogers, channel 230, and of course Canada-wide and in 32 U.S. states. We'll be right back here on Game Plus, streaming live and podcast wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit.
As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Breaking news from the NFL. Tom Pelissero reporting Mike McCarthy is out as head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. That is my team. We're pushing all the football into hour two, off the top of hour two. But not surprisingly, it wouldn't have surprised me if he was back. That's how stupid and screwed up the Dallas Cowboys are. But we'll continue the hockey. Brian Munz joins us, longtime NHL broadcaster. Hey, the Calgary Flames go for a third straight win tonight against Connor Bedard in the the last place Chicago Blackhawks. Flames 1 point behind Vancouver for the final wild card spot. Later, the Oilers will try to extend their 5-game home winning streak against the Kings. And also the Florida Panthers are at Philadelphia tonight. Just a word on all of this. I don't know how much hockey watching you did watch this weekend. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I watched the Oilers at Chicago. I have to watch the Oilers in our house. Not my choice. And they fell behind to Chicago early, and then they just came out. It was like Chris Knobloch peeled the paint after the first, and just flipped a switch, and Chicago couldn't even keep up. But I guess you can do that against Chicago. It's a dangerous game to play against most teams, though.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say necessarily you can do it against Chicago. I just think if you're the Edmonton Oilers, you can do it, right? With the star power that they have. And again, I saw him play at I've seen him play twice this year. Was in Edmonton for an event against Nashville in, I want to say it was November. And then I saw the Oilers play again at home December 22nd against the Ottawa Senators. And I'm not telling anybody something they don't know. if you get a chance to watch Connor McDavid, you go do it, because he is something like we've never seen, right? So you combine him with Leon Draisaitl when Chris Knoblauch decides to put all his eggs in one basket, or if he keeps them separated to try and divvy things up in their top six. Those guys just push the pace where the regular human just can't really handle, right? So they are fun to watch. I did watch a bit of that, and then I saw after the game that, Knoblauch was saying that they just didn't play in the first period, and when they decided to play, they made it interesting. But the curious thing for me, and much like we talked about Detroit before the break over in the Eastern Conference right now, Calgary has won back-to-back games. I saw a bit of their game after I got home from the Jets-Avalanche game on Saturday night, being the late game on Hockey Night in Canada. And the push they're trying to make right now, the teams in front of them just don't give up any ground, right? Like, you break it down, the top three teams in the Central, the top three teams in the Pacific, and then you've got the Avalanche and Canucks right now as the wild card teams. None of those teams, Roddy, lose more than 3 games at any specific time. Like, if you look in their last 10, nobody's lost 4 games. And I don't think you're going to see that at any point this year. So it is so hard for these teams to make up ground unless they're playing head-to-head. So the curious side of me right now with Calgary and Chicago both on the outside looking in is, those are must-win games for them just to try and keep themselves within reach of those teams when they do have a matchup against a club that's in one of those postseason spots, that they even give themselves an opportunity to try and make any ground at all.
I'm making all these faces as you talk because so many things are flashing into my mind. I'm going to slow it down because I'm going to ask you them all. This is what's great about a longer segment like this. We can get everything covered. But when you talked about McDavid,
for sure.
I'm sitting there watching the game in Chicago. As the goalie that I was, there was a play where McDavid went zing, 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 zing all the way up the ice like he does, and then just wound up in front of the net like top of the circles, and Mrazek was just like, hope it hits me. Like, it was coming so fast. I've been there. It's like I can't even begin to hope to react. And, of course, he missed the net. It's just close your eyes and hope it hits you. That's one. 2, I don't know if you watched the Florida-Boston game at all. It was on here, ABC, ESPN with your boy Razor. But everybody, it was on all across Canada. I don't know what channel was carrying it. But the Bruins, what I heard, because I didn't see the pregame show with Messier and PK Subban, everybody was dumping all over the Bruins. They're old. They got no prospects. I did hear the report from Emily Kaplan that they've had the worst drafting the last few years, the worst minor league system. Then they come out and beat the Panthers in their barn 3-2. I feel like the NHL is a league that if you don't lock it down against everybody, you could be made to look foolish, A, and B, Boston's still Boston. Boston is still Boston. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, there's something with that logo. There's something with the rich tradition. And, to have their celebration of their 100th this year. Actually, I had lunch with John Bartlett on Saturday before the Winnipeg, Colorado game, and he called the Centennial game in Boston there against Montreal. And it's funny you bring this up now. We were talking about just what that experience was like. And, it's something with those original 6 teams. And I don't think you can ever count them out. There is, I don't want to say it's cyclical, but I will say the old adage, and fans hate it, but the other team gets paid too. So it's not just the fact where you're looking for one team to have success.
Oh, we lost Munzy. Or is that me? No, it was Munzy.
Yeah, sorry, that was
a
me
phone call.
trying to. I did.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my fault.
Can you
sorry.
continue where you left off? Go ahead.
Oh, did I lose you completely? Sorry about that. Yeah, no, the thing that I look at was, for Boston and for a lot of these teams that are expected to win every night, you just can't, right? Like, you think of what is there right now for the Bruins, and they're kind of in that, to me, they're kind of like the Detroit Red Wings are right now. You expect them to win all the time. And are they there at this point on their so-called cycle, if you want to put it there? I don't know if they are. I don't follow them as much all the time. Like, I look at the game notes and try and keep abreast as to where they are all the way through. But I think there's so many other teams right now in the Eastern Conference that I would say those are the ones that I think are going to be battling for a conference final appearance, and then obviously try and play for the Stanley Cup.
Well, I think they were winless in 6 coming into Florida.
Yeah.
So it's not like people were talking junk about them. I mean, they have struggled, but you still better be on point because Swayman was good, which, by the way, he's got a little spit and vinegar in him. He was punching guys in front of his net. Kind of reminded me of watching my dad back in the day when he was trying to clear the front of his net. I guess you can still do that. By the way, I want to tell everybody that Munzie's with us for the first 40 minutes of the program today. Moose is not available for the next couple of weeks. Come next segment, and for the next 30 minutes after that, we will be talking football. Although, Munzie, really, you impressed me, buddy. You impressed me being able to talk about the NFL wild card. But I got to ask you this. 3 teams are tied for first as we sit here today in the National Hockey League. Vegas, Washington, Winnipeg. Now, you could play the little which one of these doesn't belong, and it would be Washington. But that's pretty cool to have a 3-way tie for first at this time of year, this late.
It is, and I'll be 100% honest with you. If Ovechkin wasn't in the race that he is right now for Gretzky, I would not have paid 1% of my time on what the Capitals are doing right now. I think this Ovechkin thing has got everybody so intrigued with what he's been able to do at his age, how hard it is, obviously, to score goals, but it's fun. So that's awesome. The Winnipeg Jets story for me is obviously really cool because I live in the city and I'm so close with so many people from the 9 years that I was in their broadcast booth that, they've had players come in that have been a perfect fit that Kevin Cheveldayoff has been able to kind of work with, the Mark Scheifele's, the Nikolai Ehlers, the Kyle Connors, the players you expect to have success, like the Velarde and Iafallo deal that he made with Los Angeles when Pierre-Luc Dubois goes the other way still. And watching the game on Saturday, those guys just are so complimentary right now to Scheifele and Lowry and what Nino Niederreiter has been able to do. Cole Perfetti's looked like he's got that confidence back now playing in their top 9. And what can you say about Connor Hellebuck? Anything that revolves around goaltending right now seems to have number 37's name right beside it. So there's an excitement around the city here that we haven't seen in a long time. They were good last year, but to have the start they had this year and then be able to shut out Colorado on Saturday night at home and be in an 8-game homestand right now that they are where they've had this success has this city buzzing, and it's rightfully so.
Well, let's be honest. Brass tacks. Say what you can. You're far more politically correct about this stuff than me. But you got these Manitobans on Vegas, like Mark Stone. You've basically adopted Kelly McCrimmon. We'll give you Crim as a Manitoba guy. Yet you got to hate it. They hate Vegas there. Right? I think it's good that you're chasing Vegas. You're going to have to beat them to win a Stanley Cup. Right? That's
no question. Yeah. And that's, to me, even like, again, we were talking about it. I was up in the press box Saturday night for the Jets Avalanche game, and you're going through all the way what these hurdles and obstacles are going to have to be for everybody. And, you throw Vegas in there, you throw Edmonton, you throw some of these other teams in the Pacific Division. But just where we sit right now on the central side of things, if you're Winnipeg or Colorado, you've got to get through Dallas. You've got to get through St. Louis. Like, it just doesn't go easy for anybody. And then you start thinking, well, should they go back to the old 1 versus 8 and forget this wild card thing in the divisions? And of course, I didn't even mention the Minnesota Wild all the way through there. That to me makes this 2-month run so unique when you get to the Stanley Cup playoffs, where you're not worried about, okay, round 1 is whatever, round 2 is whatever. You're going to lose a team that could win the Stanley Cup in the first month of the postseason.
Well, do you think they ever do change the format back? I'd hate to see them do it, but I know there's talk.
Yeah, I don't think you can right now. Like, how many times can you flip it in short succession? Especially with having to move the divisions with some of the teams that have bounced around a little bit as of late, just with relocation and teams coming into the league. Like, I like where it is. I personally do, because it makes you watch the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs And it also makes this regular season important, right? Because if you finish first in the Western Conference, then you play that second wildcard team that probably, and I say this right now because we're here in mid-January, probably comes from the Pacific Division, which to me is an easier team to play compared to somebody in the Central Division in that first round series.
Lastly, out of morbid curiosity, I'm asking you this because it's the Rod Pedersen Show. I can ask whatever I want. How do you feel about outdoor games coming to Florida? Because I've seen the polar opposite opinions in our house. Serena thinks it's a terrible idea. I love it. What do you think?
I think it's fantastic. I think every team in the league should have the opportunity to host one of those. I look at it in two sides of the event itself. I've had the pleasure and the fortune of being to two of them now. Obviously, the one in Regina when the Flames and the Jets played, and then in, I think it was 16 here at what's now Investors Group Field when Winnipeg played Edmonton. And with the number of games that there are right now, it is so huge in the city that it is. I would say I watched maybe 10 minutes of the game in Chicago this year, just because once the game gets going, it's not the wow factor for me anymore. But for the city that it is such a spectacle. There's so much going on outside of the 60 minutes of hockey. I think it's fantastic. You guys are going to have the opportunity to do it. Hopefully you get a chance, Roddy, to get to both. Because, and the second part, and maybe the most important part for me, is the league is so good at putting these things on now that they wouldn't be doing it if they knew it wouldn't be a home run in the two warm centers that you're playing in. So I think it's fantastic. I know Paul Maurice talked about it a couple of weeks ago when it was announced that he's obviously been around them. He was here for the ones with the Jets, and it's something special. If you're around the Florida region and you can get to this, go, because it's not like whether you go watch the Panthers or a Lightning regular season game. It is tenfold to how cool it is to actually be a part of something like that, actually inside the football stadium or the baseball stadium.
I wouldn't have gone if it wasn't for you urging me to go to the one at Mosaic Stadium. You're like, it's not a game, it's an event. You'll go, just go, you'll love it. And you were 100% bang on. So that's what I'm telling everybody here. Munzy, thanks for the time. This has been awesome, brother. Really good job. All the best here, man. Let's chat soon.
All right. Take care. Say hi to Serena.
Winnipeg broadcaster Brian Munz, now of Golf Manitoba as well. We'll be back with a sports update and whatever you would like to talk about for the next 1, 2, 3 segments before Alan May joins us from the Washington Capitals in hour 2. We're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live, of course, and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard. We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, everybody. Do you have a winter birthday in the house? And is that birthday boy or girl obsessed with hockey? Well, then look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary to throw the best birthday parties in Cowtown and area. Look them up. Tell Randy and Michelle that the RP Show sent you. 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. Player development camps, office parties, team building. They've got it all. Okay, I know I'm going to get into some... let me read some comments first, then some fun stories, and what we do. Number one talk show on the Game Plus television network is right here. You're watching it. Cash Cab doesn't count as a talk show. Can't beat that guy. Bill Dalby writes in from Brantford, Ontario. Oh, right on cue, Bill. He says, a group led by Zach Hyman and his family have purchased the Brantford Bulldogs of the OHL Junior Hockey League. Signed Bill from Brantford. It's on the wire service here, actually. I mean, I saw it is all over social media, too. But this is what I pay for, so I might as well read it, right? The league announced today that its Board of Governors has approved the sale of the Bulldogs by Ottawa Senators majority owner Michael Andlauer to a group including Hyman, his brother Spencer, and father Stuart. The OHL said the team currently plays at the Brantford and District Civic Center, which has a capacity of 2,952 spectators, according to the city's website. The OHL says the new ownership group is pursuing a long-term lease agreement with the city that would include plans for a new arena. Ho, ho, ho. Popping champagne corks, I would think you would in Brantford. This is Bill from Brantford. Bill, how do you feel about this? I got to think you just want an owner that's got the funds, isn't an idiot, and has a clue what's going on. Zach Hyman would check all those boxes. And I think we should talk to the former players. Like, how would you feel about going back and owning a team, whether it's your team or your hometown team or whatever? Like, for instance, in Lethbridge, we have a lot of viewers in Lethbridge. Chris Versteeg always wanted to buy the Hurricanes, had the money after a lot of time in the pro hockey, and they wasn't for sale. I wouldn't really like to own my own team, but I wasn't a player. I'd like to own my own radio station or TV station. It would check clears, walk in the door, you. I know who I'd buy, and I know what I'd do. That's just Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in and says, hey, Rod, I just realized that the RP show is going to be 6 years old this June. It blows my mind how my days revolve around the RP show, LOL. Well, thank you, Wayne. I appreciate that. We are in season 6. I think it's June 3rd will mark the 6-year anniversary of the program. Darren in Melfort writes in, he says, speaking of junior hockey, how about a shout-out to the Melfort Mustangs, 29-5 seasons so far, number 2 in Canada. Well, there you go. Kirk in Toronto writes, and he says, hey, Rod, great to see all wildcard teams with teams wearing their traditional uniforms and not those ugly third jerseys. Denver's looked awesome. Yeah, we really did. We talked more football with Munz than I thought we would be able to. And what's funny about that is he's a dyed-in-the-wool hockey guy. He makes no bones about that. And he covered the Bombers at times for CJOB and would regularly, routinely tell the football guys, hey, I'm a hockey guy. I don't know anything. Go easy on me. So I was even going to bring up football with Munzie earlier, and he did a great job of talking about Wild Card Weekend, which, by the way, is the poll question. What was the biggest upset on Wild Card Weekend in the NFL? And let me just go and have a look at the poll for EMJ Marketing. Is it the Houston Texans over the Los Angeles Chargers on Saturday? Last night, Washington over Tampa Bay? Or C, wait till tonight? And interestingly enough, 34% leads the poll, wait till tonight. Vikings, Rams, 33% Washington over Tampa, and 33% Houston over the Chargers. It's like split 3 ways. Yeah, I kind of figured as much. Fun to talk about. Which, speaking of talking, so look, story time. I know you all like that. This morning I had some calls out by the pool. We have a communal pool where we live. And as I was leaving the pool, no, actually while I was on the call, it was our morning meeting that we have. Harry, my neighbor Harry, walked by. He's like, hey, Rod. Wanted to talk. I'm like, Harry, I'm on a call. Always I'm on a call when Harry wants to talk. But Harry does a lot of walking. So when I was done the call, I was walking back to our house, and here comes Harry. He's like, hey, Rod, from across the parking lot. He's like, I never ever did ask, what do you do for a living? I said, well, I'm a sportscaster, but I host a show based in Canada every day on Canadian television, even though I live in Florida. He said, well, that's really cool. Well, what do you talk about on there? Which is what everybody asks. And I said, well, primarily hockey, a lot of CFL, and some NFL. And he goes, well, I'm from New Jersey, and football's number 1 for me. So we got into the NFL wildcard weekend, asked what I thought about tonight, and he says, well, the Rams have a better team on paper. And not that you care about what Harry got into, but his thing was, he goes, I just love football, but I really can't wait for the Notre Dame OSU game. Just to kind of give you an idea, like I bought this jacket, this Florida State Seminoles jacket at Walmart for like $14. And I love it. But everywhere I go, people go Noles. Panthers game, grocery store, walking down the street. They just college football. They're nuts about it. Including my neighbor Harry, who's in the financial industry. Well, he'll never retire. Works from home. So I'm reading this for Harry. He might even be watching right now. He says, the year was 1894. Yale put together a football schedule that was daunting. Games on Wednesdays and Saturdays, basically every week from late September to late November. 16 games in all. No major college football team at the FBS level had a 16-game season ever since. Until now. Texas and Penn State just played their 16th and final games of this 2024 season over the weekend. And on January 20th, in the college football playoff championship game, Notre Dame and Ohio State will be playing their 16th and final games of this season in a matchup to decide the national title. So there you go. But we ain't going to talk college football here. We will mention it, but that's about it. There's enough people, God knows, that are following it. And we put up a poll question on Friday about who's going to win it all. 35 people voted on it. It's not big with our audience. Sorry, Harry, and anybody else that's into that. But there are other things, like, for instance, defensive end Willie Jefferson is remaining with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The 6'7", 248-pound Jefferson agreed to terms on a one-year deal with the club Sunday. This season will be Willie's 11th in the CFL and 6th with Winnipeg. He was a CFL All-Star last season for a 6th time and led the club with 6 sacks, 25 tackles, 2 fumble recoveries, and a forced fumble, and 10 knockdowns. He's got the big reach, right? He's really good at that. The sports update's brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Sonic the Hedgehog returns to the big screen in his most thrilling adventure yet, Sonic Knuckles. Apparently, Bob Irving is in Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails reunite against a powerful new adversary, Shadow, a mysterious villain with powers unlike anything they have faced before. Starring Idris Elba, Keanu Reeves, and Jim Carrey, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is in Landmark Cinemas now. I'm going to keep it going. Mini overtime next. And we'll keep football going into hour 2, and then we'll be joined by Washington Capitals TV analyst Alan May. We're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live, and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers, Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Okay, everybody. A quickie but a goodie here. Ending off hour one of the RP Show, your favorite daytime sports talk show. And I appreciate everybody that's been patient, waiting till this segment to get their comments in regarding NFL wildcard weekend. Darren in Utah writes in, he says, if you go by the NCAA reaction to the first round NFL games, people would be calling for the wildcard round to be eliminated. Too many blowouts, which is a ridiculous take. Said it a million times, and I understand that nobody's going to listen to me, even though you're all here today. But nowhere on your ticket in the fine print does it say you're going to get a good game or that you're going to get a close game. It's unfortunate. I hope those that went to the games enjoyed the experience, but the games, save for the Washington-Tampa game last night, weren't really all that entertaining. Tonight should be different, though. Vikings-Rams in Glendale, Arizona. And I'm glad that Chris Sims is like the only guy who agrees with me from Pro Football Talk and Sunday Night Football that this LA Wildfires thing, will it weigh on the mind of the Rams players? We don't know for sure, but I'd be shocked that it wouldn't. And it's not. You had a great chat with Brian Munz about it earlier. It's about what we all do. Like when, for Munzy and I, he's called hundreds of hockey games. I've called hundreds of hockey, well, thousands in football games too. Once the mic goes on and the game kicks off, you're not thinking about all that other stuff, but it's the lead up to that. It's the distraction and the preparation and where's their mind going to be. For that reason, I think the part of the reason, I just think the Vikings are going to win tonight. That would have been a great poll question tonight. Maybe I'll put it up on our Instagram later. The poll on our Instagram is, what's the game of the night in the NHL? Running away with it is the Oilers Kings. I love our popularity in Edmonton. Even though we rarely hear from the Oilers fans, they're all watching and voting on our polls. Works for me. Jeremy, the Detroit Red Wings fan, writes in. He says, Todd McClellan said in an interview when he was assistant coach in 2008 in Detroit, the organization is the Harvard of hockey, lots of knowledge in the front office. It's a very impressive team that's not accepting well how the team was doing before Todd McClellan showed up. Regarding the playoff format, Rich in Edmonton, he says, I love the playoff format. Creates divisional rivalries come playoff time, i.e. the Oil versus Canucks last season. Oh, I don't know. I keep hearing it all the time that they're going to change to the way that it was in the 80s. Stick within the division, no wild cards, and I hope they don't. Because then you're going to go back to but this team deserves to be in. They had more points than that team. That's why they do the wild card thing. Always complaining. Hour 2 is going to be fun. A lot of football talk, and then Alan May from the Capitals. Stick around after this brief pause.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Good morning, Rod Squad.
Maybe tomorrow I'll tell you guys about the big game that I went to in San Antonio with Snoop Dogg. Remember that one, Clark? The Lakers and Spurs? Snoop Dogg and I went, Bob.
How about that?
Snoop Dogg was sitting courtside. I was up in the nosebleeds, but we were in the arena at the same time. I was there with him.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, guilty as charged. It's hour 2 of the RP Show, Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show here on the Game Plus television, where we talk a lot of hockey, particularly in the winter, and a little bit of football, too. I got a big football game here tonight. Settle in, fill up your coffee. It's just me and you for the next 15 minutes now. And then we'll break and we'll bring in Alan May from Washington Capitals Television. It's Moose is not with us for the next couple of weeks. He's got some exciting things going on in his life. He'll tell you when it's time. All I'll tell you is Moose isn't going to be with us for a couple of weeks. So we've got a rotating stable of guys that are going to be with me. I can handle it largely on my own, but I like to kick off the show with somebody. And 1 hour ago, Brian Munz was with us, the longtime broadcaster with the Winnipeg Jets, TSN, Edmonton Roadrunners. And actually, while we're at it, can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, guys? Back in the studio. And we'll tell the folks this is what we've been discussing today. The quick 6 show horn. Can you hit it, please? Are we on the air? Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please? What are you guys doing? Thanks. So, 1 hour ago, what we did was we recapped NFL wildcard weekend, and Munzie was actually far more into it than I thought. Said he spent more time watching NFL football than NHL hockey this weekend, which shocked the hell out of me. And it brought up our poll question: what is the biggest upset on wildcard weekend? There's always at least one, and there's been 2. And the options are the LA Chargers losing in Houston, or last night's wild one, 23-20 Washington Commanders winning in Tampa Bay. Commanders' first playoff win since 2006. And then there's the game tonight, which I'm going to get to in a moment. That's your option C. If the LA Rams beat the Minnesota Vikings tonight in Glendale, that's going to be an upset too. And just so you know, spoiler alert, all three are tied for the lead in the vote for what's the biggest upset. So you don't want predictability, and you don't have it. 902-518-3033. Talked about NHL leftovers coming out of the weekend. I could sit and talk about that forever. Detroit Red Wings have won 7 in a row. Is Todd McClellan going to get this team into the playoffs? Melville's Todd McClellan. Munz and I discussed that. I watched the Oilers just flip a switch against Chicago. They were losing to the Blackhawks after one and then just came up for the second and said, enough of this. Started playing, and it wasn't even close. That's how good the Oilers are. Point 3 is NHL tonight. We talked about the games. Flames at Chicago, Kings and Oilers, and the Panthers at the Philadelphia Flyers. Only 3 games tonight. There's no Moose around to do our NHL breakaway bets segment. And isn't that interesting? I blew right past Moose over the weekend. I now lead him 26-24 in our picks for the new year in the NHL, and then he's not here to pick game. Funny how that worked. And then tonight's game, the LA Rams will be the home team tonight at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona, when they face the Minnesota Vikings in the final NFL wildcard game. The playoff contest was moved to Arizona due to the destruction and chaos caused by the massive wildfires in LA. Let me just stop that for a second. Audience participation time, because everybody loves that. I know I do. If you have nothing else to say, answer me this. Who's your favorite former player or former coach who's analyzing the games on television right now? Can you write in? 902-518-3033 or the streams. We had some fun with it on our social media channels. I'd like to ask you now, because there's a reason these guys are in those roles. Like, I'm watching Tony Dungy last night prior to the game in Tampa Bay. He's just so good. And listen, I get any coach is sitting back watching right now going, well, I knew that. I could have told you that. But Tony Dungy said, yeah, but you didn't deliver it in the way that Tony Dungy does. And I don't even think Dungy's my favorite. I'd have to sit back and think about it. I really like Jimmy Johnson on Fox. and one of the biggest reasons for my own morbid sense of humor, I want to see what the answers are. Because so many people write in, oh, I really love Joe Buck. Oh, I really love Chris Cuthbert on there. It's not what I asked. I'm saying, who's the former player or former coach who's now an analyst that you like the most? Oh, I really like John Madden. I'm asking who you like now. It didn't take 5 responses in. They just take the off-ramp to Zany Town. Like, how did you pass school? It's like, who's your favorite all-time Canadian Prime Minister? George Washington. 902-518-3033. Jeremy writes it. He says, Mickey Redmond. Did I say football? Utah Darren writes in and says, Bill Cowher's good. There's a lot of write-in votes for Bill Cowher on CBS. Jeff the Stamps fan says, all I know is wildcard weekend were largely duds. Well, don't watch again then. Rich in Edmonton says, Louis DeBrusque, but I'm biased. He does a good job, and for all you people in Edmonton watching, had a long chat in the press box on Saturday here at Sunrise about what the Oilers got going on. An NHL guy was telling me, he's like, we were just through there, and he said, what they got going on in Edmonton, there's nothing like it anywhere else in the NHL, with the hotel hooked on and the walkway. And this particular guy, I don't want to name him, but he just goes, the Oilers games have become a destination. There was people there from the Northwest Territories. There were people there from all over Western Canada and the States. Because somehow the Oilers have made it a destination like Disney World in Orlando. You got to go to an Oilers game and buy all the gear. This is what he said, not me. He goes, the other teams don't have that. I thought that was a very interesting observation. Jeremy in Winnipeg says, Chris Collinsworth. Crap. I thought you said any sport. I might have. But for these purposes, I would like to know what your football favorite is. John says, I'm looking forward to seeing tonight's NFL game. Sending love to California. It just doesn't seem to be getting a whole lot better there in L.A., is it? 1 hour ago when Munz was with us, he talked about chatting with the L.A. Kings staff. And what did he say? That their hockey bags were out for like 10 minutes outside in L.A., the Kings, before they put them on the equipment truck, and they flew them to Winnipeg, and they still smelled like smoke, like a campfire. Cannot even imagine. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in, this is awesome. Isn't this fun? The back and forth. We did the market research, and I asked you people what you like about this show the most, and you said the audience participation, the interactivity. That's what we're doing here, so take advantage of it. Tony in Cochrane, Alberta writes in, and he says, and Kelly Rudy on the Flames broadcast. I guess why the hell not? Let's open the floodgates and say hockey if you want. I just get a kick out of Rudy, who's one of my favorite goalies. I'm like top 3 growing up. Fear, Rudy, John Van Beesbrook. And there was that turnover in the first period. I don't want to say who it was, but it was Kulak. I'm like, well, you said it. You got to be critical at times, and that's what's difficult about this job, I guess. I don't want to be the critical guy anymore. Taylor in Calgary writes in and says, Milt Stegall, touchdown Regal. He was my daughter's favorite player growing up, oddly enough, and I was the voice of the Rough Riders. John Ohm in Winnipeg says, Ron Lancaster. I see Tony Romo was getting a bunch of bunk for comments he made on the Bills game, and part of this is my bad. Unless I stop to think about it, I don't turn the sound up. It's just me. And there's at least one other person roaming God's green earth that has the same opinion. Colin Pedersen, Calgary Flames alum. Same thing. He doesn't turn the sound up. We don't need the analysis. We can see what's going. Don't need to have it explained to us. Tony goes on to say from Cochrane, I like Romo on the broadcasts and Mariucci on game day. Mooch. He is very good too, isn't he? Steve Mariucci. Thanks for the comments and all that. Rex Ryan, I love that he's thrown his hat into the ring to be the head coach of the New York Jets. It's 1:11 Eastern, by the way. To be the head coach of the New York Jets, Rex Ryan. I'm like, these coaches will always leave the broadcasting gig to coach, and I don't blame them because that's what they do. I can't really envision myself doing anything other than this because I'm a broadcaster to the core. They're coaches to the core. They're doing the broadcasting because it pays well and the pressure isn't what it was, but it does not satisfy their juice like the coaching. I can't see the New York Jets hiring Rex Ryan. I think the only person talking about the Jets hiring Rex Ryan is Rex Ryan. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in, he says, Greg Olson, NFL on Fox. He says, Lancaster on CBC was outstanding. Sure, the little general. Oh, Mark in Melford says, who did Rex Ryan's teeth? Wow, I have to wear shades to watch him. I think better to have bright, white, gleaming, straight teeth than have summer teeth. Some are here, some are there, some are brown, some are yellow. But I know what you're saying. Chris watching in Vernon, British Columbia. Says the NFL Network is reporting Mike McCarthy is out in Dallas. Yeah, that's an hour. It was an hour ago that we started talking about that. I remember when we came back from our first break, we talked about that. God bless whoever goes into Dallas to be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys, because it's not going to be easy. You consider this for 1 second. I may have to stop cheering for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not sure. I may. Don't hold that against me. We cheer for whoever we want. But consider this. The Chicago Bears last week requested permission to interview Mike McCarthy, who was under contract as the coach of the Cowboys, and Jerry Jones denied it, the owner and general manager. Less than a week later, he fired Mike McCarthy. So I guess, how do you like being jerked around by your boss like that? I just, nope. Not for me. What I'm saying is, that's the kind of guy Jerry Jones is. You knew you were going to fire him, but you wouldn't let him go interview with the Bears just because. Just to be a dink. I'm sorry. I have a tough time cheering for a team like that. It's also very interesting. There's quite a few write-in votes here for Troy Aikman. Well, Troy's my guy. And there was an article. I have to thank my guy, Jeff Pedersen, the hotelier to the stars, Jeff Pedersen in Estevan, who alerted me to an interview on the Athletic newspaper website, with Troy Aikman. And he intimated, if you know what goes on in Dallas, he intimated, Aikman did, that he didn't even like Jerry Jones. And I've had the tour of that stadium, and the television broadcast booth is on the other side from Jerry Jones' suite. But I have a sense that Aikman goes in, calls those games, and has nothing to do with Jerry Jones, and hasn't had anything to do with Jerry Jones for a very long time. And because the Cowboys aren't playing and they aren't in the playoffs, I've spent very little time thinking about this. Oh, Chris in Vernon, BC says, my apologies, I joined late. No, you don't need to apologize. You're trying to help the discussion. All I'm saying is we discussed this with Mike McCarthy. So, furthermore, what can you put up with? Why do you think Bill Belichick isn't going to go to Dallas? He didn't want to be under Jerry Jones' thumb, I don't think. And I don't think Jerry Jones feels he can control Bill Belichick. That's a non-starter. Why us Cowboy fans? And for those that are watching, please write in and tell me whether you agree or not. I would go with Deion Sanders as the next coach. And if we have a chance to draft Shadir Sanders, he'll be gone by the time the Cowboys are drafting anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I think that Deion's one of the few guys. He played for the Cowboys, has a good relationship with the Cowboys as far as I know. Might be one of the only guys that Jerry might go easy on and would still have a chance to win. And let's not forget, he's still career 500 at Colorado, Deion Sanders. He's prime. He's not really all that. But at least he would know what he's getting into. Utah Darren writes in, he says, Aikman was a Jimmy Johnson guy, not a Jerry guy. No, I know. I'm saying he doesn't like Jerry. Nobody does that really knows him. Anyways, we're going to flip it and talk some hockey with Alan May when we come back. We're live on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcast wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hour 2 of the RP Show brought to you by Culligan Water. Drink clean, live green, filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit CulliganRegina.com. They actually support and sponsor the Chicago Blackhawks too, I learned. The player of the game brought to you by Culligan. Not Culligan Regina, I don't think. But maybe. It's your lucky day in that Alan May has not logged in yet. So unless you're a huge fan of LMA, then it is not your lucky day. But you got more of me if that's what you want, and I assume that's why you're here. So we can go back and forth on a lot of things, and I know for the CFL fans, a lot of you have showed up, and Scott in Vancouver had a million CFL questions last hour. We weren't talking about it then, but I know you all will hang around until we do. Just on that Dallas Cowboys thing, and Jeremy in Winnipeg, you're a Chiefs fan anyways, but I'll allow your comment. He goes, it's still the Dallas Cowboys. They have talent. Don't get me going on the discussion that we talk about in the Cowboys Nation every year. Yeah, we have talent. Why are we not winning? Broken culture. I don't want to be on the soapbox like I was last week. But when I talk about great cultures, it doesn't matter the sport. Florida Panthers, Vegas Golden Knights, last two Stanley Cup champions, both owned and run by military West Point guys. By name, Vincent Viola and Bill Foley. They don't screw around. Team's got great culture. What did I tell you 4 years ago when I got here about the way I was treated? A lowly nobody like me. You know, stories. I love them. And apparently you do too. I told you I was talking to that Panthers employee on Saturday during their game against Boston. And he was saying how the Oilers have become this huge destination thing. It's really cool. Bravo, Edmonton. You throw in the mall, you throw in whatever. It's a great destination, as he said. And he was talking about the downtimes with the Panthers where the team was deciding which bills to pay as a team. And, payroll was sketchy and all that. And I said, when did that change? He goes, when Vincent Viola bought the team. Because we weren't winning, but nobody had to worry about being paid. There was no monkey business going on. And look what happened. So that's all that. In Dallas, I don't know Jerry well enough. I don't know him at all. I've met him, but I don't know him. There's a difference. But he seems like the kind of guy that would jerk people. He did. He jerked around Mike McCarthy. I'm not going to let you interview in Chicago, knowing in the back of his mind he was going to fire him in less than a week. That tells you all you need to know about the Dallas Cowboys. So talent or not, those types of teams don't win. They just don't. And it's interesting because a lot of you have brought up some CFL stuff here. And there are a lot of CFL fans. So Cameron Judge, who's a very good friend of mine, for a long time was traded by the Calgary Stampeders on Friday to the Toronto Argonauts. And is he a heart and soul guy? He's a pretty quiet guy, but he's a hell of a football player. And he was dealt to Toronto. And however you want to believe it or what you want to make of it, he didn't even know he was being shopped until he gets the call, oh, by the way, you've been traded to Toronto. But he loved Calgary. Thought he was part of what they're doing there, and all of a sudden he's an Argonaut. What? Say whatever you want. That's not how you should handle your people, I don't think. So we'll see where Calgary goes. BW in Edmonton says, the new Flames play-by-play guy's voice sounds too much like Kelly Rudy's. It's hard to listen to it. Trucking down the highway. Can't tell who's doing what during the broadcast. Bomber Boy in Calgary writes in. He says, Vladimir Guerrero, 1-year deal. Feels like there's hope that he'll stay long-term, or am I being delusional? Hey, Rich in Edmonton says they did do a great job on Rogers Place in the Ice District. Isn't it wonderful when a plan comes to fruition? That's what they wanted to do, and it happened. Some might say they manifested it. Ask in the audience, who's your favorite former players and former coaches that are now analysts on TV? And I meant football. It kind of morphed over to hockey, and that's on me. I don't think I was clear enough. But James Warnicki writes in and says, love Chris Collinsworth. Well, I would like to say this again. It's the National Football League, and it's network television. I'd like to think they're all good. Like, who's bad on there? Nobody. In the NFL. Hey, Clark, perk up for a sec. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes, and he says, Luke Wilson is the best ex-player on Canadian TV. When is he coming to the RP show, Rod? What's the latest on that, Clark? Because he said he was coming on this week. But I don't think that's been locked down, right? Or Tuna? Okay. Here's the thing. Players gonna be players. And if you know, you know. But he DM'd me. I have the receipts. He wants to come on and said he was available this week, and now we have not, haven't locked it down. But we will. Luke Wilson will be on this show. Hopefully this week. I don't know. I try to stay in my lane. I know it's a really weird concept, but I try to just stick to what pertains to me. I don't book the guests. That's why I wanted to ask Clark, but Clark's not even in his chair. So it's one of those weeks, it seems like. Brought up the Cameron Judge thing because Kirk in Toronto writes in and says, Cameron Judge, you look good in double blue. I feel like anybody would. Those jerseys are just so hot. It's a good thing that we got a lot of time for me to get out what I want to get out here. We've covered the NFL extensively today. We've covered the NHL extensively, and we actually brushed on the college football. I do want to spend a second on a few of the CFL items that are out there. For instance, that Scott in Vancouver wrote in and said, what's happening with the schedule? Guy, you've been asking every day. I'm not following the story. Go to 3 down or what. I don't want to get on their ass for that. Because who likes people being on their ass? I don't know. I see the report that came from our guy Farhan that this year the CFL will not be playing marquee games, Touchdown Atlantic, Touchdown Pacific. For the reasons that, let's just say because they're not moneymakers. We could go deeper than that, but it would be better for these teams to host home games than playing a neutral site game. It makes them more money. I don't agree with it, but I'm not an owner. Let me just put me down as saying I don't agree with it. But they've made a lot of, we've got Alan now. They've made a lot of penny pinching comments. A lot of penny pinching decisions of late that it's their team, it's their money. There's nothing we can do about it. It's their league, it's their money. All right, Alan May, I appreciate you jumping on with us. We won't keep you too long. Thanks, Al, for doing this. I want to start with this. You've seen the standings. 3-way tie for first in the National Hockey League as we sit here today. One of those is your team, the Capitals, on January 13th. Would you have laid money on that bet in like September or August?
Not in September or August. And I remember when I spoke to you during the preseason, I had mentioned I thought the Caps would be battling for first place in the Metropolitan Division, not the entire Eastern Conference, and certainly not at the top of the league. I just thought they did such an incredible job over the offseason of systematically replenishing their roster. Very Bill Belichick-like when he was with New England in their heyday. And I thought it was a work of art, the way they put it together structurally, financially, and just putting the players they needed. Not the shiny, flashy new things, but just going methodically and filling those slots.
Do you want to name any of them? Some are popping into my head, but I'd like to hear it from you.
Well, I think the biggest thing when you start on the Capitals, a year ago, they couldn't score goals. They couldn't get the puck out of their zone. And when you look at what they were able to do starting on the blue line, 2 guys that are 6'2", Jacob Chychrun, who's been scoring goals and moving the puck, and who's been known to do that. Always on a bad team. You never know how good these players are, like an Oliver Ekman-Larsson. When he finally gets to a good squad, he's a very complimentary player. By having Chychrun in the lineup, all of a sudden it pushes Sandin and Martin Feravari down the lineup. They don't have to go over and above of what their skill sets and their expectations are. And then you bring in Matt Roy, who may be the best defensive defenseman in the National Hockey League, and I think would have guaranteed Toronto a Stanley Cup or an appearance in the finals. And those 2 guys pushing everyone down the lineup, now they've got puck movers all over the place. They've got the simple path. They've got bigger players that are very good at playing in their own zone. And it starts there, and then you add your goaltending. Charlie Lindgren's been a surprise the last 2 years. And he's been an MVP basically for the Capitals last season, especially. This year, you had Logan Thompson, an unappreciated maybe in Vegas. He gets here, he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's 6'3", 6'4" goaltender. He's 18-2-3. You start by building defense, and you look at those 3 guys alone. That is a spectacular, rebuild of the roster just with those players right now.
Until last year, I say this as respectfully as I can, Spencer Carberry, I don't think was a household name in his own house. Now he's got to get some consideration for Coach of the Year. Like, if not him, then who?
Well, he's certainly in that talk. It's been, what he was able to do with the roster last year with a team that had no business being in the playoffs. They found a way to dumb their hockey down, and they didn't hit, they didn't skate fast, they weren't scoring goals. They would win a low-scoring, close game if they were able to score first. If they were scored on first, they were done, and they lost by a large margin. But he got a buy-in. At least they made the playoffs, but they knew there's no way you can play hockey like that and ask the players to to play a hockey where you're not going to put up numbers. You know, you want to get paid, you want to play in the playoffs, all of that. This year with the better roster, they're able to elevate their game offensively. But I think it starts with moving the puck out of the zone. Things they did last year. They wrapped the puck around the boards. Now they go tape to tape. They have defenders that can move the puck out of the zone. And your forwards can gain the offensive zone with possession, skating high speeds. Last year, it was a wrap around the boards, a long pass to a dump in, and then retreat. And what Carberry's been able to do, adapt to the lineup this year, shows that, you know, he's a quality coach and definitely should be in that consideration. We still have half a season to go here, so it'll be interesting to see how this all shakes out.
Al, I only got one more for you. You talk Capitals all the time. It's your job. You do it well. But if you don't mind me saying, you live in Texas, and whether you're a Cowboys fan or not, you couldn't escape it. I'm, by the way, a Cowboys fan, but I'm considering changing. And I've been lifelong, but I'm sick of Jerry Jones. I'm sick of him. What do you know? What do you think? You see Mike McCarthy's out. Could anybody be successful there?
I think you have to bring in an alpha that controls everything, the roster. When I would think of a Bill Belichick type of guy, he would, you know, if it were to be him, it's not going to be him. But a man like him that would go in there and have to run the roster and not allow Jerry Jones to make personnel decisions or contract offers that basically cripple the team. Jerry Jones is a great businessman, and he's proven not to be a great general manager. When he had that alpha in there and Jimmy Johnson, they totally transformed the Cowboys in record time, all those Hall of Fame players that they drafted and developed. And it's time. And if he just continues to bring guys in that are puppets, I do not think they're going to win. There has to be a hierarchy where the head coach is the boss of the roster, and he's the boss of the players on the field and determines everything that goes on. And, you know, living there and seeing what he's built an entire little town in the town that I live in, and what he's done with the stadium, incredible businessman. I love that part of him. But the football team has been a disaster, it feels like, since basically he started calling all of the shots on and off the field.
You ever thought of being a football analyst, Al?
Not a chance. They don't work enough.
I get it. Hey, well, you do a wonderful job of it. Listen, thanks for jumping on today, Al. Good luck the rest of the way.
All right. Take care, Rod. Talk to you soon.
From Monumental Television Network in Washington, Capitals analyst Alan May. I'm going to tell you something. We can go back and forth with your comments the rest of the way. What a Pandora's box we've got today. Talking NHL, NFL, CFL. That's our wheelhouse. And we'll be back in a moment here on Game Plus. Streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
RPShow for Culligan Water. Clear water, clear choice. Filter out the bad and taste the good. Culligan Water of Regina, culliganregina.com. And transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information, emjmarketing.com. And I guess while we're at it, sports fans, sign up for the Rod Pedersen Rod Squad newsletter today. Stay ahead of the game with exclusive insights, updates, contests, and exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up for free today at rodpedersen.com. We were going over the numbers today. It has a 75% open rate. The guys are all excited. 75% of people open the emails when they receive them from the Rod Squad newsletter. To me, that's nothing to be popping champagne corks for. As I said to the guys, if you're going to subscribe to the newsletter, I would think you'd open it. There are other sports items here. The New England Patriots have hired Mike Vrabel as their head coach. The move comes after Patriots owner Robert Kraft fired Gerard Mayo after the team's season finale victory over the Buffalo Bills to finish their season of 4-13 in his lone season as coach. Vrabel, a fan favorite during 8 seasons as a player in New England, where he won 3 Super Bowls, was a 2023 inductee into the team's Hall of Fame. I think we all see this going in the right direction. I've texted my Patriots fan friends, and they're all aboard on this. They love Vrabel as a player. He was hard-nosed in Tennessee. He didn't win there, but nobody does. And I do enjoy the NFL show coverage. I don't think these guys are any particular geniuses that I'm listening to. But they talk about the pomp and the circumstance and the masquerading. They wanted Vrabel. They went and hired him. They hired 2 guys to interview 2 guys to satisfy the Rooney Rule. They knew all along they were going to hire Vrabel. Robert Kraft runs a team the way I would run a team. You know who you want, go hire him. End of story. Don't go interview 30 guys. They have no intention of. I'm not big on wasting time, mine or yours. And you know what it reminds me of? I don't know. On one hand, people say, don't live in the past. Move on. On the other, the Washington Commanders won their first playoff game since 2006, which coincidentally was also in Tampa Bay. Sports is all about living in the past. The very expensive $250 an hour counselors will tell you it's okay to visit the past, don't live there. So we're going to visit the past for a second. When I got a call, I won't say the year, from an NHL team that said, we've had our eye on you for a while, and we think you're the best play-by-play guy outside the NHL. So let's get a deal done here. And we did. Within 5 minutes, we had it all worked out. I think it was like May 14th. And they said, okay, now we're going to make this make it look like a search. So you're going to have to wait about 2 months, and you'll see people being interviewed, but don't worry, the job's yours. We have a verbal commitment today. And I said, well, I'm sorry, but I'm not comfortable with this. And they said, well, it's our team, not yours. So we'll decide. And over the next 2 months, it completely unraveled. And to make a long story short, job wasn't mine. So whatever. In retrospect, it's not a team that I would want to work for anyways, but that's how some teams work. Whereas Robert Kraft, thump, Vrabel, you're our guy. Let's get it done. They're going to be winning there. No two ways about it. Asking our audience which former player, which former coach do you like the most analyzing football on TV right now? Mark is watching in Burlington, Ontario, and says, Kirk Herbstreit. I don't really get the furor over Kirk Herbstreit, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I think we can all agree. Clearly, a lot of people like the job that Kirk Herbstreit does, so good for him. Started as the college guy. Now he's still doing college, but now he's doing Thursday nights on Prime with Al Michaels. He's doing something right. Darren in Melfort writes in, he says, Tony Romo knows his stuff, but him and Nance get annoying when the Chiefs are playing. Yeah, when Romo's on, I don't turn the sound up. When Tom Brady's on, I like to listen to what Tom Brady has to say. And for those that are dumping all over Tom Brady, I feel like you were the ones dumping all over him when he was winning Super Bowls in New England. No, you're dumping all over him while he's on TV. You're not even good at hiding your hate for him, which is jealousy. Once you realize that the root cause of all hate is, well, in some cases, not all cases, but most cases is jealousy, makes it a lot easier to deal with. Chad in Lethbridge, I appreciate him watching and writing in. He says his favorite analyst is Bill Cowher. Favorite former NHL player on the air, he likes Biz Nasty. Favorite coach, Bruce Boudreau. Favorite former player, Tony Romo. Favorite former coach, Bill Cowher. And then he goes on to say, Mike Tomlin in Dallas? ? Mike Tomlin still has a job as of today. So, no. I still think it'll be Prime. And you have to understand, but I got a contract. As far back as the movie Slapshot in 1977, people realized the contracts don't mean a damn thing. If Jerry Jones wants to go hire Prime out of Colorado, he will. That's the one thing about Jerry, and I thought Alan May said it very well. Great businessman, which is what? Being greedy, making money? I guess that's great in business if you're making a lot of money and you're greedy. But a disaster on the football side. So were you really successful? Jeremy from the Game Plus control room writes in. He says, Landman season finale is out. What did you think? I'll be watching it tonight, Jeremy. Here's the thing. My better half, Serena, has gotten me, for whatever reason, into watching Dexter. Probably for a few reasons. We burned out all the other series that we wanted, finished them. And there's only one Landman a week. Got to watch something. And this Dexter isn't really for me, but she really loves it. She's watched all the seasons. There's like 12, I think. It's a little far-fetched for me, but I can put up with a lot. And we didn't get to Landman yesterday, but we will tonight. The season finale, I can't even imagine. Let's have this discussion tomorrow, and I'll tell you what I think then. Ooh, everybody's talking about Landman. I've been on it from the start, and my oil friends say it's bang on, which is scary, if that's true. Tell you tomorrow, Jeremy. Darcy in Grand Prairie writes, and he says, late to the party today. Prime time to coach in the Big D? Yeah, you are late. We've been discussing it. That's the only guy I want. Who does Jerry want? That's really what matters. And by the way, Jerry will get who he wants. It's got to be somebody with an ego, but not too big of an ego. Alamay just said it. Enough of these puppets. That's what guys like Jerry Jones want. El Sasco writes in on the 902. Yo, Rod, great show. Tough question on the color thing, but I do miss Kahari Jones on TV. I remember him doing some color and some panel work on the CFL on CBC. Wish TSN would show him some dollar bills next year. Signed, Blessings, Vintage Sasco. I can't see them bringing Kahari Jones back, which, by the way, the decision to scrap Touchdown Atlantic, Touchdown Pacific. Again, it's their league, it's their teams. Let me just say, I don't agree with it. Exposing the league and the wonderful product that it is to new markets, how can that be a bad thing? It would be nice that if the league wrote a check to underwrite the losses of the teams that don't want to give up home games anymore. What they're saying is the Toronto Argonauts are drawing so well, they don't want to give up the home game anymore. Used to be nobody went to Argo games in Toronto, so let's move it to Halifax. We'll get more people there. That's not the case anymore. Why are the Argos drawing more? It's a conundrum. CFL Week was the greatest thing the league did in decades, and then they canned it. So, yeah, I don't agree with a lot of what they're doing, but I don't work for them, and I don't work for them. Overtime is next, y'all. We'll be right back on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, welcome back for overtime, everybody. Where do we start? Where do we go from here, caller? As John Frenzy would say. Overtime is brought to you, as always, by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. If you're watching, you can see the logo on the screen. 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. I call it an amusement park for hockey players. They call it where skill and fun collide. All kinds of cool day programs for kids, office parties, birthday parties for the hockey player, hockey fan in your house. Check them out at overtimehl.ca or give them a follow on their social media. 902-518-3033, the text line. We've had some interesting things come in here. It doesn't really slow down. All these leagues that are now making a concerted effort to stay in the media 12 months a year, make it a pain in the ass when you're trying to cover all the leagues, the ones that are playing, let alone those that aren't. I'll get to the point in a second, but for instance, out of Dallas, Mike McCarthy is not returning as coach of the Dallas Cowboys. We covered that quite a bit today. Source says Cowboys owner Jerry Jones and McCarthy agreed to part ways. It's possible the two sides could reconcile, but McCarthy will now speak to other teams as a free agent. The coach's contract expired following a 7-10 season. Dallas was 12-5 each of the 3 years prior. The Cowboys haven't been past the NFC divisional round since their 1995 Super Bowl season. And what the hell, it's the Rod Pedersen Show, so I'll say what I want. It was a mutual decision. Right. It always is. Paint it however you want. When I left after 20 seasons as voice of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, it was a mutual decision. I'm stepping down. I'm resigning. Right. No, I was fired. At the time, it seemed to me like it was a big deal to say that. Now, who cares? But if that's the way the Cowboys want to frame it, go ahead. I have the bigger problem with the fact that the Chicago Bears last week asked to interview McCarthy. Jerry Jones said no, knowing he was going to fire him within a week. Would you like to work for a guy like that? By the way, I have. And then this other thing, the Las Vegas Raiders have requested to interview Denver Broncos defensive coordinator Vance Joseph for their head coaching job. He is the 7th known candidate for the position after Antonio Pierce was fired last week. Raiders have scheduled or conducted interviews with former Seahawks coach Pete Carroll, Detroit Lions coordinators Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, former Jets coach Robert Saleh, and Kansas City Chiefs defensive coordinator Steve Pagnuolo. You're going to tell me that Tom Brady doesn't know who he wants coaching that team and GMing that team? Come on. That's the stuff that drives me nuts. Anyways, just be real about it. John in London, Ontario writes in, "Hi, Rod. John Ferguson here in London. When Darren is absent, you could have guest prognosticators picking the daily NHL games with you. I'm willing to step up anytime. Even though you are mostly alone today, you're still making the show fun. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. So I said, please give me your picks. Without even looking at yours, Florida at Philly tonight. I'll go Florida. Calgary at Chicago tonight. I think Flames. And Kings at Oilers tonight, I'll say Kings. What's John got? You're changing your pick, are you? He's got Flames, Panthers, Kings. Same as me. Well, that's not fun. Listen, I'll go with the Oilers. You took the Kings. And the only reason I'm not voting for the Oilers, picking the Oilers, is it used to be that thing. You know, the game's changed a lot, but it used to be that thing. First game back from a long road trip. That hasn't historically been the thing this year for teams because I've been watching. But I'll just take the Oilers just because. John Ferguson is the celebrity guest picker today. 6 games in the NBA tonight, including 1 in Toronto where the Raptors host the Golden State Warriors. The 8-31 Raptors have lost 5 in a row. Warriors are 19-19. Here's interesting. Also, both the Lakers and Clippers host the first games in L.A. since the wildfires broke out last week. The Lakers face the Spurs. The Clippers entertain the Miami Heat. Don't they play in the same arena? How are they going to do that? Anyways, they're so down on the Heat in this town. I thought they were like last place. Jimmy Butler's played his last game with the Heat. He's walked out. The team suspended him. I look at the standings. They're 7th. 19-14. Well above 500. That dang media. LA Rams will be the home team tonight at State Farm Stadium in Glendale when they face the Vikings in the final wild card game. Contest, of course, moved due to the destruction and chaos caused by massive wildfires in LA. Vikings favored by 3.5. I will take them to win. Sports update for Seat Giant. Stop paying U.S. dollars for games and concerts. Canadian owned and operated with Canadians in mind. Super Bowl, college football, Taylor Swift, Justin Timberlake. You've got it all. They've got it all. Check them out at seatgiant.ca. See you tomorrow, everybody. Noon Eastern.
I had this steak.